as they talk about Jurgen Klopp's heavy metal football, that was the full Metallica, two bass drums banging away there for most of that 90 minutes, apart from 110 seconds towards the end of that first half when Milan grabbed 2 goals and made it a nervous half-time, and then Liverpool came out in the second half and just kept going and got the 2 goals, and the winner from that man was a special goal indeed. But I would imagine, Brian, after how things looked at half-time, a sigh of relief maybe from Jurgen Klopp?
Yeah,
with that 3 points?
Yeah, because he would have feared that Milan might have got a bit more control in the second half, having had the boost of the 2 late goals. But in fairness to Liverpool, they were consistently relentless. They just kept up that pace, harrying, the harassing, the winning the ball back. They were a little bit more controlled in terms of Fabinho's position in the second half. I thought he played slightly more cautiously in front of the centre-back pairing because of those 2 goals. But a superb performance by Liverpool to turn it around and make so many chances and get the 2 goals they needed.
This is how the table will look, and as you can see, good looking for Liverpool's point of view. The only team with a win after the opening night, if that stays that way in Madrid. Porto and Atletico would be next, and Milan on the bottom. Trip to Porto for Liverpool in a fortnight's time, and Milan are at home to Atletico. Meanwhile, back at Anfield, it was a barnstorming performance from Liverpool tonight. Damien, before the match we were talking about how Liverpool were set up for the season. You felt they were a team on a mission. Did they look like a side who were determined to make up for lost time after the disappointments of last season? Absolutely.
I think that last season will act as a motivation for them. They were definitely off the pace. They got the job done in the end in terms of qualifying for the Champions League, but tonight was just a rip-roaring performance, bar 60-70 seconds just before half-time, where they just gave AC Milan a glimpse and they got punished. But what grit and determination they showed to come out 2-1 down, start the second half and win 3-2. I mean, that takes real character, because that's a decent Milan side, actually more than a decent Milan side. It's a very good Milan side, a tremendous character, and a fellow Liverpool of old, and I think that they will have an awful lot of motivation, as I said, from last year, but now they've got the bit between their teeth.
Do they look back to that sort of best of winning the Champions League, winning the Premier League of a few seasons ago for you?
Absolutely. That's their rip-roaring best. That's what they do. They set a tempo and they strangle into submission, really, the tempo that the opposition can't live with. Whether they can maintain that, whether the squad depth, that's the question that needs to be answered. But at the moment, they look like they're in really, really good form. OK, that Atletico game has just finished, and it is 0-0 there in that one. So Liverpool, the only team in the group to take full points from the opening night's action. Right, Brian, let's get into it then, and we'll talk about that rip-roaring's the phrase that Damien uses, and it leads to that first goal. And I mean, you're thinking Milan there, you know, it's blow your house down stuff.
Yeah, well, they were hanging on at this stage of the match. They were probably hoping they'd get through the first 20 minutes without damage. Eventually, the goal came, lovely build-up play. Trent Alexander-Arnold moving on the inside, where we're seeing him in this position much more frequently this season, later last season, but much more now. Advancing the inside right channel, leaves Leo for dead. There's a bit of support in the box. He kind of looks like he wants to cut it back. The goalkeeper is expecting that and moves slightly off his line to the right. Look, but just the deflection catches him and it lifts the ball over the goalkeeper's body. But it was no more than they deserved, even though it was 8 minutes gone. They'd been on fire and just continued from where they were. The league match, I thought they were brilliant against Leeds at the weekend.
The second goal didn't come. We'll look at the penalty miss in a moment, but we want to go to what happened to Liverpool in that it was 110 seconds between the 2 goals, and for the rest of the 90 minutes, barring a couple of other moments, that was the only time they seemed to switch off. So what happened in those couple of moments? Liverpool's
high line, much maligned high line, people question why centre-back let runners go. This is precisely why they don't. Joe Gomez here at the top of the screen. Ordinarily, Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez, let that runner go and let Matip deal with it, Alisson Becker deal with it, and then Joe Gomez engages with the advanced midfield player for the opposition, but he doesn't. You just see him here next to the guy that makes a run. As soon as he makes a run, normally he'll just let Matip deal with that or let him run offside, and then the back four keeps its shape. Now, time and time again, we've had this discussion. Sometimes it will get done by it, but they do kind of live by the greater good. Sometimes, you know, 3 things have to happen. The timing run has to be perfect, the ball over Matip's head has to be perfect, and it has to drop before Alisson. 3 big things have to happen. Then on the second goal here, they get caught You know, they're really, really high up the pitch, and all of a sudden Milan turn, you know, a defensive situation into a serious counter-attacking situation here. And Andy Robertson gets back on the line and can't keep it out. But look how many players are up the pitch. Just after conceding, they just probably want to consolidate, take the foot off and get into half-time at 1-1, but they don't. And there's 4, 5, even 6 Liverpool players caught in advance of the ball there, and they just get caught out. It was just a momentary lapse.
And is that the case again, that the back four is not pushed up enough with the rest of the team, or does it become disjointed there for just a moment?
They were a little bit flustered. You could see the back four were up nice and high, but I think they had 5 players when Milan broke the press, and I think Jordan Henderson was the only one that was breaking his neck to get back. The rest of them, you can see at the top of the screen, were ambling and walking, but that was probably as a result of the amount of pressure that they actually put on in the game. But they got caught slightly, but showed great character, and it takes great character to dig a win out against a team like Milan. And
is that a flaw in the Liverpool game plan? It's been a similar game plan for the whole time under Klopp. It's turn up the volume, you know, up to 11, you know, keep it going, keep banging away. But if you drop off at all, a good team will find spaces and chances.
If they break through the press, it happens frequently with Liverpool. I'm often looking at them saying they're playing a dangerous game here. They do it set pieces as well. They keep a very, very high line, leave a lot of space between that line and the goalkeeper for Alisson to come out and take it. But there's many times I look and go, they're dicing with fortune here. They're hoping the linesman's flag goes up. And then what Damien showed there is not the way most people coach defenders. You usually coach the centre-backs. If somebody's breaking through, you got to run with him rather than just step and hold your line and hope that he runs offside or there's an interception. And they got caught there. But you have to compliment Milan. Look at their 5 players running into the box. Hernandez, the left back, was one of them. Leo was on the ball. Rebic was right at it. Little fella Brahim, Diaz was really, really good in the match. So they took advantage of the fact that Liverpool were a little bit short of back, but it was real incisive running and direct pace that caused the problem on the second goal. It wasn't just Liverpool's faults. They punished them. They punished them to the maximum in those couple of moments.
You want to talk about an effervescent performance from Mo Salah, which includes missing a penalty, though, unfortunately from his point of view, but everything else.
Well, I thought he had a great game tonight, and he wasn't always as ruthless with his shooting as he can be. There's a penalty save, and this was, 15 minutes gone in the match. I said, I'd say Salah would be going mad to get a goal tonight. He rarely misses penalty kicks. He's fairly deadly with penalties. He was so anxious to score tonight. I said he won't make too many passes when he's in the final third of the pitch. But his running, like the team, was relentless. Always available for the pass. Lovely little 1-2 with Origi here. And I don't know why the goalkeeper didn't go and clean him out. I think the keeper was a bit hesitant. Mo wasn't so sure whether he was onside. You see the little ball here, and he is onside, and he looks at his teammates after he knocks it into the net and says, I'm not so sure whether I was onside. But I thought he was typical of the team, and there were so many players played so well. I mean, Henderson was brilliant, Fabinho was brilliant at times too, Jota was great. But Salah just kept that life in the forward line. He was always involved in the game, running back, doing a bit of defensive stuff, covering for his full-back when needed be, and taking on the defender. I'm sure Hernandez will sleep well tonight after running he had to do.
It was his 14th European goal at Anfield for Liverpool, which is level with Ian Rush for that particular record. Right, let's get into the winner then. And how good was Jordan Henderson for Liverpool tonight?
Oh, he was brilliant. He set the tempo right from the first second with his pressing. This is such a difficult finish. If you look at it, the ball bounces and it's already on its way up. So to get over the ball, I mean, it's textbook, knee, shoulder over the ball to keep it down, and he fires it into the ground. Great striking, just off the zippy Anfield surface, just away from the goalkeeper. But look at his technique. That is, I can't tell you how difficult that is. Incredibly difficult to get that technique right. And to find the bottom corner is brilliant, but he deserved it for his performance. He was incredible, as was Fabinho towards the end there as a number 6. You talk about prototype, number 6, defensive midfield player. God, he didn't half get in the way of things.
Yeah, they were good. Liverpool were good. They had to work for it, but they got the win.